Okay, so just everybody knows this session is being recorded. There will be a replay and it will be uploaded on YouTube. And all those of you that are here will get the link. If you signed up, I will send that to the people in the messenger. And Jerry, who likes to share everything, I'm sure will be sharing it around. I will be giving some links at the end, and those will all be in the description. My name is Sheila Finkelstein. For those of you who don't know me, Jerry and I met several years ago when we were introduced on another interview by DeWitt Jones. Jerry and I have become really good friends since that was 8 years ago, and Jerry did me the pleasure and the honor of having an interview when we interviewed 7 years ago. It was a great interview. We've interacted since. Again, I'm Sheila Finkelstein, and this call is about seeing the world with new perspectives, not necessarily about using your camera or heavy-duty cameras or taking great pictures, and all that can fit in for those who want it. It's mainly really just seeing our world through new eyes. My site is treasureyourlifenow.com. I'm about connecting, communicating, creating, and I will be offering a course starting in October, Through and From the Lens. This session is not about promoting that course. I'm simply stating it now, and there's something there that clicks for you. There will be a link at the end, as there will be the links of Jerry's work. Okay, I explained more in the pre-thing that we'll be on loosely for a half hour. Jerry and I will be chatting, mainly Jerry, and then there can be any questions. So I am privileged and honored that once again, Jerry, now my friend, has accepted the invitation for this interview. Jerry Downs, who you don't know, is a photographer and writer who lives just north of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. His work has been featured in books, magazines, and museums around the world. He has given talks and led seminars on a wide range of subjects, including photography, visual literacy, and optical illusions. He has published 2 books, and he told me the other day he's working on a 3rd. And I could quote from a statement Jerry made online about his remarkably diverse career. And it might make sense for him to speak it himself here. But first, I would like to share one of the points that stood out from our talk 7 years ago. In response to the question, what makes a good picture, Jerry said, if it doesn't have the emotional contact, it doesn't have the soul. Great pictures are ultimately the ones that elicit an emotional response. And again, I want to emphasize tonight, it's not about having great cameras or how to use them for great photos. It's about us learning to connect, perhaps in new ways. Now it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Jerry. What would you like our guests here to know, Jerry, and those listening to the replay? What would you most like them to know about you? And what is the most important thing or things that you would like them to take away from our session together tonight? Can't hear. Oh, I unmuted you. Did you mute yourself?
Okay.
No, he didn't.
Okay, you're unmuted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. All right, that's good. All right, you guys listening? This is it. So the bottom line, and I'll tell you right up front what it is. Phil, you look great there. Where are you? Like Alaska? But the guy with the what's behind you? You're looking good. Everybody's looking good. But one thing I want you to understand is that play is really a big part of what I want to purport here and want to encourage. So when I go out and take pictures now, and I do that like every single day, I no longer look for pictures. I simply enjoy the act of looking. And I noticed that when you do that, well, not everything makes a good picture. but everything is worthy of appreciation. And if you can find yourself in a state of appreciation, pictures are everywhere. And I noticed one thing about when I was looking for pictures, there's a distinction about you're going around the world and you're kind of framing things and like, but it's more about saying, you're kind of saying no a lot. Like, no, that's not quite it. Or, oh, the light should be a little bit different. But when you're just appreciating things, it's not that things are neutral, but they're all kind of pleasant. And you're kind of in the mode of ready to take a picture. So when you do see something, you're not eliciting all these thinking things in your history. You're just responding, just you're trying to record it in the most beautiful way you can. And that's a really kind of pleasant way to be in the world. And I use photography as a way to be in the world. I mean, I clearly love photography. I'm more junked at it than anyone I know. But the main thing I like about it is that it's a great way to talk about being alive, about the world, because as my friend Joe would say, it's the world's the palette. That's what you're drawing pictures from. So you're having to respond to the world. And in my mythology, the way you look at the world is the way you look at yourself, and vice versa. So it says something about you, by how much you appreciate the world, or if you're afraid of the world, or but it's so that's enough of an introduction. And you can ask me a question, or we can look at a picture, because the pictures are infinite, and we can talk about any one of them or all of them individually.
Okay, so the just you said elaborate a little bit more. The way you look at the world is the way you look at yourself. And I think in our conversation yesterday, you also spoke of, which I think is really important, about making mistakes.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a
Two questions again.
well,
Sorry.
no, mistakes are, well, you didn't make a mistake by saying that. No, mistakes are like part and parcel for learning. When you're a child, you need to learn an awful lot of stuff when you're a kid: how to walk, how to talk, how to language, everything. Way to learn for anybody to learn as an adult or as a child is to be playful. And being playful is fraught with making what we would call making mistakes. You're learning how to walk on a log and you fall off, and you get back on and you try it another way, or you go off and do something else and then you come back and you try it again. But there's not this angst about getting things right. I purposely, to take a great picture, all you really have to do is show something in a way that's never been seen before. That's simple. So that's why we use different lenses, and that's why we get really high and really low. That's how we're doing these things just to get somebody to pay attention. So making mistakes means you're looking at it. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying anything new. And as soon as no matter what it is, whether it's a relationship, thinking about your lover or politics or the world at large, if you think you've come up with the final answer, the game's kind of over. You don't get to play anymore. And as soon as it's like, well, we figured that out, then the only thing you're left with then is just defending that point of view. You're not investigating. You're not doing the thing that made it so alive in the first place. You think you got, but what really made it alive was your ability to let things go and make mistakes and discover things and be vulnerable and play. So mistakes is really a misnomer. Mistakes is investigating. I don't think mistakes are, that's the whole idea of mistakes is kind of silly. I don't think you can make a mistake.
Okay, great. And I love the investigating and being playful. I mean, I love making discoveries, and curiosity is what drives me. So you selected a whole group of pictures, I understand, to share with us and explain some of the different ways you've been seeing. Would you care to share those, please?
Oh yeah, let's look at pictures. My favorite thing.
Jerry is very, very generous, as those of you who follow him know.
Turn that off.
Okay, I think you can make that bigger.
Okay, let's pick a picture. So, well, there's my son.
Okay, one minute. People, you may be looking in two ways. There's a way of doing full screen if you want to really see Jerry's pictures larger. Someplace up in the, top right. Okay, I'm making mine full screen. Top right if you want to see it larger. Okay, Jerry.
So this is a good example of what we're talking about, that he's simply playing. It's like he's the light's really, really low. We're on the second floor in like a condo in Grand Cayman, and the sun's going down. So the shadows are really, really long. But it's one of my favorite pictures of him, even though you can't see his face, because it's about him. It's about him investigating life as a child. I remember once he was cutting something, and I saw him, and I said, well, that's, let me show you how to do it right. And he looked at me and he said, I like the way it feels on my fingers. I mean, it's like, everybody can do things differently. There isn't really a right way to do it. And that sense of play is really what makes life fun, interesting, alive. So let's pick another one here. Let's go back here. Back. And now, as an adult, so in the walking around the world, in that part I was talking about, life happens almost like a video. So you're not really getting to pay attention to everything in minute detail. But when you picture, you can kind of stop something and take a good look at it. So I just love the way the shadow is behaving. When I teach classes, we look at the idea of the world behaves a certain way, light behaves a certain way, shadows behave a certain way, the wind in the trees behave a certain way. And if you think of the world as a living entity, well, you just think of it as alive, then it has a personality, and then you can relate to it. And so when I walk around the world, I'm relating to the world. I'm having a conversation. So, and as such, it's like in any relationship, appreciation's a big deal. So if someone's appreciating you, they open up and they respond. And I think that's what happens in the world. So even really enormously complicated things like this one. This is just on 2 blocks from here in front of the theater. And I do a whole series of synchronicities to make it really complicated and really, so I see this, I'm looking at this Turner poster on the movie theater, and I'm looking both ways to see if anything might go with it, because just taking a picture of it is just like taking a picture of art. That's nothing. But I see this guy with the kid with the red hat come out of a coffee shop 2 doors down. So I position myself in hopes that he's going to show up. And as he comes, I'm kind of panning him and I take the picture. And I really love this. And I love that on his face, the kid's eye matches up perfectly with his mouth, and the kid's cheek matches up with his chin. And there's just this, uh, they are like the same, they're like the same being. And, but the idea of the whole synchronicity series is that connection to the world that I'm talking about. And that's another one. But
Just
so
so you know, those that don't know, Jerry has a group that is Synchronicity.
yeah, so on Facebook it's called Synchronicity City, which only started in April 1st, of course, and it's very fun, and it's pretty, it's playful, as you might suspect. But the thing that I want to, this is a bike stand in front of on the street. But the number of times that I really love that the shadow, the top shadow is a heart, right? But I also love that the bike that's within the wheel is doing exactly the same thing and is also splitting in exactly the same place and making another heart inside that. Now that only happens, 5 minutes during the day when it happens like this. But I'm there. So the idea that it's like, well, why is this guy always in the right place at the right time? And it's really because I think I have something to do with it. I have this general request and appreciation for, uh, it's like whatever you, whatever you're thinking about shows up, right? So I think about weird pictures and oddball things. So the world delivers them to me in really obscure, miraculous fashion. So it's for me, it would be kind of arrogant to say that I'm so proud of myself that I can see these things. And it's like when people say, which I get a lot of feedback, which is really remarkable because I have a million Facebook friends. Well, I have 20,000 or something. So a lot. But the compliment is you see things that other people don't see. That's one compliment. But the real compliment is when someone says, I've been looking at your pictures for a while, and now my world is different. I see the world differently because of what I've seen as a possibility. And that's fantastic. And one of the things we did on the synchronicity thing was, is there's a thing called pareidolia, and pareidolia is something that looks like a face or something other, like like this boat, or what else we got here, or the fish. So in your world, there, if there's two dots, you can find a face. But once you start looking, they're like everywhere, and it's just a playful exercise to expand your world. In this case, I didn't notice that this looked like a smiley face until I got home from a trip like 2 weeks later, because again, it was live for me. I wasn't trying to get that. The fish are moving. And I just liked that now those colors against the blue at this koi place that they were moving the koi around. And I says, can I take a picture of the bucket? And so I put the bucket with the gravel behind it, and I just took a series of pictures. But I was mostly concentrating on the color. I wasn't concentrating on that it would end up looking like that. And it's like, it's uncanny. Uh, but, and I often use this picture to say, don't be coy about having a good time or
Oh, wow.
enjoying yourself, because puns are another way of uh, relating. And like when you're thinking symbolically, all photographs are, in some sense, of they're a symbol of something. Even a picture. Now you're in another place, Phil. The background keeps changing on you. So you're, even if it's a scenic, it's a symbol of the place. It's not the place anymore. Like this is two cups, but it's also about a relationship. I was showing this picture in a portfolio to somebody once, and I took this like, I don't know, 40 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, and but when I was a couple of years ago, I was showing somebody this, and a waitress walked by. We were in a restaurant, and she says, "Oh, a hug, a kiss, and a hug," like a circle and an X and an O. And during that entire 50 years, I never saw that. This kind of like the kiss, like the sculpture, like it was symbolic or something. But I never put it together that that was an O and an X and an O. But now that's kind of like, that's a new kind of symbol that we now are familiar with. So and the fact that it's warm. I mean, it's a black and white picture, actually taken on black and white film, but it looks, I added a little sepia to it just to warm it up, because the idea of it is warm. What else we got here? And the other part is just beauty. Beauty is like, one thing you can see, and you probably already noticed, is that I don't just shoot one kind of thing. I don't shy away from beauty. I don't, or flowers, but I do street things and I do all kinds of oddball things. But to me, there's not really any separation. It's all divine. It's all great. And why should I deny myself anything? That's my phone. Life is a highway. Pretty funny, huh? Well, this picture I took yesterday, and
this like summarizes. I just need to say, I mean, when I saw this just summarizes so many different things that you do, the angles, the lines, the reflection. So I needed to throw my 2 cents in on that one. Amazing.
Isn't it? But, well, the pre-story on this is, I took a walk yesterday, and I took all these pictures, and then I ended up in this a food court mall. It was empty, and I was playing with the chairs and making shadows and doing all this stuff. And then I got done, and I looked at the back of the camera, and it said, "No card in camera." And I went, so even I make mistakes. But it didn't. So I walked home. Took about 20 minutes to walk home. I was pretty far away. I got the card and I came back. But by that time, when I got back, the courtyard was all cut. It was all, the shade was everywhere, except for this little spot in front of this Chinese restaurant. So I put a chair to put right there, right behind her, and there was a spot there. So I put that. So my intent was just to take a picture of all the stripes and that shadows, because I do shadows a lot. And then while I'm looking through the camera, the door opens and she walks out. And she walks through the frame, says, "I'm sorry." And then I said, no, keep coming. I took the picture. And in this case, I didn't even notice the takeout box she had. It's the same color. The colors in that are the same colors as her. And there's like stripes on it as well, on the pagoda. But it's like, it's that thing of, how is this possible? It's just, I'm baffled. It's just like, it's just miracles. But the other part about the miracle thing is, everything's a miracle. The fact that I'm talking to people bouncing off a satellite, sitting in another part of the country. And how insane is that? But so we've completely disappeared. As soon as we habituate something, the miracle's gone. So I try to keep it. I mean, I'm reminded often because I'm a photographer, because things like this happen, and it's the miracle is slapped in my face like daily. Uh,
I want to share something that reminded me, Jerry. Yesterday, when you were talking, originally when you talked about told the story, I was thinking you went back because you missed something. You only went back because you didn't have a card. But I think, and so you went back, you didn't know what you were going to be taking or finding, you just wanted to be able to take pictures. Yesterday, you shared a story of someone who for weeks.
oh yes, that was great. So when I was doing a class once, this woman, she was in Italy. She says, "Oh, she's responding to something I said," and she goes, "Oh, I know what you mean. I was in France, and I saw this little kid on the back of a bicycle, and he had a long loaf of bread, and he was looking right at me, and it was so beautiful, and I had missed it, and I've been thinking about that the entire time I was in Belgium and England and France and Spain, everywhere I kept thinking of this kid." And my thought was, honey, why? Let it go. You should have been paying attention to what was in front of you in Belgium and it's France and Spain and the rest of the places. It's there's plenty of pictures. If you don't get it, let it go. There's, and just it's when we try to bring value to things by making them rare, and the miracles pervasive, and that's part of the problem, that everything is so miraculous you can hardly even tell anymore, because it's like the thing about talking to you all in the different parts of the country. There's Phil and you in Florida, and my friend Joe across, just across the town. This is insane, but it's like, how cool is that? But the only reason I really take pictures is to remind people that it's okay to be here, and it's even kind of cool. So it's, and if you on all my pages, of which uh, I never do politics. I just do. Isn't it interesting? That's my thing. Isn't it interesting, and isn't it beautiful? Because there's plenty of the other stuff, and I'd rather concentrate on this, because I noticed that what you concentrate on is what you get. I mean, it's pretty diverse. I mean, I do. So it's not like I do one thing, and it's not like all namby-pamby something, but it's all kind of interesting, Dolia.
I love you. Oh, go ahead. That's one of my favorites.
Well, it's just so silly. But and uh,
Okay, did you show what I was going to say is you briefly mentioned talking to your subject, and in the interview we did, several years ago, you were talking about how you talk to the flower as you're watching it uncurl. That favorite of mine, that car. Did you talk to that? You did mention briefly.
Sheila, where you're giving away what my mania.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, that's as well as you should. I'm well. I travel a lot, or a lot across the country, and I'm often by myself. Sometimes I'm with my friend Joe and other people, but it's fun traveling with other photographers. But often I'm by myself, and like in the middle of nowhere for days. And people ask, like, "Don't you get lonely?" And it was the first time I heard that, it was like such a foreign idea. It was like, no, I don't. I never get lonely, because I'm kind of in a continuous conversation with the world at large, and it's responding, and in this really rich way. The clouds are doing something, the shadows doing something. I'm anticipating something, and then it really feels like things pull me over to stop to have me take their pictures. It's well, that's what it feels like. I don't care if it that's how it feels. And more, I care less and less about how things are thought of. I think thinking is really subservient to the way things feel. I mean, that's absolutely no, I think I've always kind of thought that, but now I'm absolutely convinced. Even when you're thinking things, you want to come up with something to make you feel a certain way, even if it's to feel right. But at the basis of everything, feeling is the thing that drives this entire event. And so, uh, and I like to laugh, and this made me laugh. So, so did I talk to it? Yeah, I thanked it. I often bow to the scene I was just at, depending on how many people are around. Um, but they're kind of private moments, and I really kind of take my time with them, and I don't really rush off. I kind of uh, take them in and kind of enjoy it. I think enjoying it's play with them, like this leaf. I was shooting a job for the California Walnut Board. It's a food job, and I was assisting Joe. He was doing something, and I was in the backyard just playing with the leaf while we were waiting for the chef to hook up something. And but well, then all of a sudden I see the seahorse, and it's like it's just fun. And I think the the reason I'm into optical illusions is because I think one of the main things that's really valuable in the world is the ability to see things in more than one way. And I think if we speak about current affairs in the world, that quality I think is like enormously important, that there is not one way to look at something. So I do these pictures kind of like this and the synchronicities and the optical illusions just to have people exercise that muscle of, oh, I can see things more than one way. That's that's that means something to me, and I think it helps them, and or you just see it in a new way, like uh, a white picket fence is that's so elegant and so beautiful, and it's when you one thing about when people say, do you use Photoshop? What they're saying is, did you change the way it looked? And you cannot help but change the way it looked. You're looking at a screen. That's not a fence. That has nothing to do with the fence. And the camera doesn't see the same way we do anyway. Like in this case, I'm taking advantage of the fact that the latitude that the camera can see is minuscule compared to what we can see. If we're standing there, we can see into the shadows. But to the camera, if you expose, I mean, I'm underexposing it, and the white is going to stay really bright, and everything else is going to just go really dark. And then I'm even making it darker later. But I like the optical illusion quality of this thing. Everybody, you know what it is, but it's a new way of looking at what it is. And your eye, if your eye has not seen something before, well, if your brain hasn't seen something before, it has to figure it out. So having a little confusion, like a mistake, I mean, in one respect, this is a mistake. This is not the way a fence looks. But it's making a mistake just right so that the beauty is the trick that makes you stop and look at this thing. And just enjoy it for its new thing. You don't have to, who cares about a fence? But when you finally understand, a fence is fantastic. But kind of everything is, but you have to, I don't know, it's confusing to say that everything is, because then it's like, well, then what's the point? You need to you need to make them special. But again, it's that appreciation thing. Just a kind of a gentle appreciation for everything, and then every once in a while, something is just unbelievably kick you in the ass, spectacular. Like this. I mean, that just almost makes me cry. That's just intensely beautiful. I I really like that.
Jerry, excuse me.
Yes.
We're going beyond the 25. We've now been into 40
Oh,
minutes.
thank God. Give me a question. Oh, what happened to my thing here? I lost.
I don't know. We could go back. You can stop share for a moment. We can always go back. Let's see if
Okay,
any.
I'll find it. Okay, now I'm back there. Okay, now, got a question?
Okay, so stop share for. I've taken some quotes. What you said, I put in chat. People, just so you know, at the bottom of chat, there is 3 dots. And you will be able to, when you hit those 3 dots to the far right, you have the option to save the chat, and that will be in your computer. It'll drop into your computer when you're finished. You want to come back live, and then we can go back. Is there one last picture? And then I love when I look at the faces and what you said with that fish face. Is so often, one of the beauties for me is when we take pictures and we think we're taking one thing, and just responding and we take it, but that's where the pictures. And then when we look at it, we see all kinds of other things. And I think that's great, and I'm glad you pointed that out. So you want to come back to live, see your face? Is there one more picture there you must talk about? I love the cups and the kissing and what came through that also.
Well, we did the cups. What have we got here? Oh, here's just something really beautiful. This is at one of those canyons in New Mexico, but that's not water. It's dust. So it's like, but you needed it to show the light. So light just by itself, if it's not hitting anything, doesn't look like anything. If you didn't we purposely threw dust in the air, like just a pile of hands, and we threw it up, and then the sun caught it where the light was. But without the dust, you saw right through it. So knowing that, it made that visible.
Did you throw the dust up?
Yeah, we purposely threw it up.
Oh, this is Antelope Canyon, correct? I love photos.
Well, it's another one. It's not. This is not Antelope Canyon, but it's in that same area in Page.
All right. Okay, thanks, Jerry. You want to come back to your stop screen share? And I think Morgine and I were the only ones that put anything in chat.
I see other people.
Yep.
I see Elsie Wood.
Yep.
I see her turn around and smile.
Okay, you can unmute. I'll unmute you. You can unmute yourself. If individuals want to say anything, we'll trust it won't get too noisy. You can unmute yourself by just clicking on the, you know what, manage participants. Some left, I see. I'll unmute you all, and if you're in a noisy background, then just mute yourself, please, by clicking on the microphone. So, Sins, do you want to say hi, Elsie, since Jerry singled you out?
Hi, I'm in Colorado, and I'm just fascinated with your attitude. I think it's absolutely glorious. It's a way of living and a way of seeing that is so refreshing. I just love it. Thank you so much. It's just great. And it just makes me laugh.
Well, that's the idea. Buckmaster Fuller, you know, he had this thing where he would give his talk, and he was brilliant, and everybody would applaud, and he would stop them, and everybody's like, okay, what? And he says, if you appreciated what I said, you are only responding to something that inside you that you feel. So if you think I'm brilliant or smart or anything, you're only responding to something that is inherently in you and you recognize. So I return the compliment. You got that sensibility is you as well. So
Thank you.
thank you. And it's more fun to have fun. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is just plain. It's okay to be silly. I don't know what to say.
Jerry promised we would have fun tonight. Thanks for that, Oslie. Is there anybody, how many questions or anything else you want to, anything you want to say? I shouldn't say anything else.
Phil.
That's a pain. Phil, I've seen your name for years. I'm glad to meet you in person. That's a painting you're in front of? A mural? We can't hear you.
He doesn't either.
Well, he wasn't muted, but maybe his audio wasn't working. Well, you could type in chat, Phil, if you want. You must have been doing something because you showed up on speaker view, but the audio wasn't coming across.
Oh, there you are.
But he's not talking.
So it's really great to see you again, Jerry.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I really enjoyed our visit this summer when you dropped by.
It was really pretty great. So what are you doing here to change the background? Every time I look over you and you're in a different world.
Yeah. So Zoom has a feature that you can put a background up. It's called a green screen.
Uh-huh.
And so I kind of change the photograph every once in a while to
Cool.
put myself in different things. It's kind of neat when I stand up and walk away.
That's fantastic. Very, very cool.
And then I appear again. It's
Oh,
magic.
that's really fantastic.
The whole thing is about having fun, right?
Yeah. Well, that's your middle name, buddy.
I gotta figure out how to do that. That's fantastic. I love it.
I will send out, I have a link to the Zoom thing on how to do it. My computer is an older computer, so it's broken up. It's a fun video, but it doesn't do the back screen. But I will add that link to the mailing.
Oh, look at that one. Hot dog. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, no, that's really
Oh, wow.
good. Very cool. Good
I
job.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cooperative thing, this new, I like interaction. I like being alone, actually, a lot. But I also like being
Now I'm in
social.
church.
And oh my, thank you. Where are we now?
Okay, I see. Phil adds to the humor in your life. Thanks, Phil.
Phil's the best.
Blaze, I saw your pop in for a minute. Did you have a question you wanted to ask?
Yeah. So I think, one of the things that I like about Jerry is his book, Why You Were Born, and the story that goes along with it. If you read that whole book, I mean, it's a fascinating read. It's really great.
Thank you. Well, at some stage, I'll either I'll republish it. I am in a couple of months going to make it into a PDF that people can download. But right, that's not available now. And so it's like good and bad news that it's sold out. But thank you for your part in making that happen.
This is one of my watercolors.
Very nice. You got the talent.
Okay, thanks, Phil. It's been a pleasure meeting you and seeing all your talents there.
Hello, I have to say personally, hello to Ruth. It's good to see you like as a real kind of a person. And Morgine, you're just, I love meeting people. And I met people in real life of people from Facebook, and they're not a still. They're like I like to touch their shoulder, like, oh, you're real. So it's kind of that way, just seeing the three you guys as like real live beings. It's kind of really great, refreshing. It's kind of cool.
I have to say that your book about your life is one of my favorite books, and I'm an avid reader. I've read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, and I thought it was so valuable. I gave one to each one of my kids, and I talk to everything. I've talked to animals and nature professionally, but I taught people to talk to their cars, to their computers, to everything. So I don't find it weird at all that you talk to things, because I talk to everything. One time this lady was having trouble at work. She said all the computers were acting up, and the boss had people in, 4 or 5 times. They couldn't fix the problem. And I kiddingly told her, I said, well, there's crystals in the computer like you use in healing. And I said, they get dirty, from all the anger and frustration. And I said, you got to really clean them, sit down, send them love and something. So she called me a week later.
Oh, great.
I told my boss about that. And we came in one morning, and he said, all the computers were off, and we're all going to send love to our computers for 5 minutes. And he says, you know what? We turned the computers on, and the problem was gone.
Oh, wow. Okay, thanks, Morgine. Anybody else have, Mary Fran, you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, Jerry, that I remember in your last talk that you said that life is precious when you treat it that way. So when you see it, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So and this is pretty much a similar theme, but different words.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I love it.
I like that. Precious is a good word, isn't it?
Yes. I
Yeah.
love
It's a feeling word.
Yes.
I mean, you immediately feel something when you hear the word precious.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like a childish thing or childlike thing.
It's warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, warm and fuzzy. Like you wanna hug whatever is precious.
Yes.
How fun.
Mhm.
Well, it's good to see you. This is really fun.
Okay, anyone else?
I wanted to mention that Cherry talked about appreciating things, and there's an old saying, what you appreciate appreciates. In other words, when you appreciate something, it gets bigger.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that you appreciate things so much, and you go out with this attitude that you magnetize things to you. Like that situation. If you hadn't gone back and got that card, you wouldn't have got the lady with the stripes.
Uh-huh.
That when you appreciate so much, that the universe comes to you to give you more things to appreciate and have fun with, because you have that attitude.
And I think and you have to have an attitude, and you have to make a judgment. You cannot not. So, like in that situation, my reaction was, oh, damn it, what's wrong with me? Oh, this sucks. This is so terrible. I'm an idiot. I don't do that anymore, because it means something when you do. And it's like, okay, well, it's bad enough, or it's just the way it is. It's like there's no reason to make it bad, and going on and on about it. And so I had no real investment in getting something. I just knew that I would get. It didn't matter if I got anything, but proceeding and intending is a really valuable thing to do. So that was all I did with that event. Was I walked home, but I wasn't kicking myself the entire walk home. I was like, and I wasn't, as I was passing all the pictures that I knew that I took on the way there, I wasn't going, oh my God, I'm not going to see that one ever. It was just like, there's always more. There's always more beauty. There's always more something. And it's always right immediately there. I mean, just like in this situation, you abstract it, and here's all you guys sitting up here at the top of the page, and there's the computer, and there's all this crap on my paper, and if you can get out of the fact that you habituated the whole thing and see the miracle of it, there's never an instant of any time of day or an event when it's not when the miracle is not present, because it's all it. I'm glad I can talk this way with these characters. You're all as bad as I am. It's really refreshing. Isn't that right, Ruth?
Absolutely.
Absolutely is right. Yeah, how great. Nice smile, lady. Good to see you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything you want to say or share? Okay, Jerry, do you have any upcoming live courses?
No, not yet. But
Okay.
make sure you're part of my Facebook's part, and if there's an email on that, is the email
Okay, I'm just texting now, and I'm putting in the text. Remember, everybody, you can save the chat. So in the text now, I'm putting the link to the course I'll be giving, which would be a way of practicing beyond, what kinds of points that Jerry was talking about, and just seeing the world in new ways. And the links for, I think they're all coming up. Let me just see if that all came through. Yeah, and the links to all the ways you can see what's going on with Jerry, including his email.
Thank you.
And remember, thank you, Ruth. And remember, when you go to that chat box to the right, there are 3 little dots on the far right. And if you tap on that, the first option you have is Save Chat. So the links will be live, and you can just save the chat. You'll see everything in the chat. I thought it was great. I thought of, instead of handwriting all these different things and notes that Jerry said and asking him about it, I put some of the quotes in there, and Morgine made some really good quotes that you have. And I really like, Jerry, what you said. I think I have it there, but just talking about appreciation. You said in any relationship, appreciation is a big deal. And I totally appreciate you, all the time you spent with me, the time you shared with us. Anytime I've messaged you over the years and asked you a question, you're always there. I totally appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you for coming in and joining us, sharing with us, and your nice smiles, Ruth. It's been great. So, anybody else?
Jerry, what is your
Thank you,
next
darling.
book about?
It's about synchronicities. It's about making the world visible,
Oh, okay.
and how we make it invisible. Yeah, so you kind of have to know both.
Right.
Oh, well, that was interesting. How do you make it invisible? Or is that a teacher?
You make it invisible by just disappearing the miracle, like if you just habituate it, which you can do with anything. We've done, you do it with being alive, you do it with your kids, you do it with the fact that you can drive, you do it with everything, or that we can talk like this. This is ridiculously miraculous, and so that's invisible though. But the other part is you can't be mean to yourself because you did. You should have it disappear. The trick isn't to walk around in bliss every instant in some childlike wonder, but it's important to remember that you have the option. That's the difference, is that you don't have to do this like this thing, but the fact that you can is an important thing to remember. That you have the option is really huge, and take advantage of that, intermittently, that muscle, and don't write it off as, oh, that's childish nonsense or something. It's terribly important. It's the part that you really are going to value about being alive. That's the things when you're dead or about to be dead, those are the things that are going to matter. The times you were alive. So go do that.
Okay, thanks. I disappeared from conversations by taking my camera out and starting to look around me at the present. And a lot of that crap disappears. Unless I see bird droppings with a different perspective. I invite you all here, if you look at something after this call now and look around and take some pictures, maybe not right now or the next day or so, and post them on, where would the best place be for them to post, Jerry, to share what they might have gotten from this?
Well, on my main Facebook page, I mean, it's open to everybody. I'm sure all of you are my Facebook friends, I imagine. Yeah, and if not, I'll double check that.
Okay,
But,
so
yeah,
so I invite you to post a picture that you may have taken something new out of what you've experienced in this fall and share it on Jerry's page and indicate the call and encourage people to watch the replay.
beautiful. All
Okay,
right.
anything
Tough
last?
long goodbyes. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you for coming to play.
Thank you.
Again,
Thank you.
thank you all from the bottom of our hearts.
Thanks,
All right,
Sheila. Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.